Okay, welcome back to Rigging Knowledge. Today we're going to be explaining how we attach the toggle to the end of a new demo canopy, either a Star Trek 1, Star Trek 2, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 200, or even a sharpshooter canopy. So any demo canopy with 725 or 900 pound Dacron. When you get it from the factory, it's going to come just like this with a free running end. There's not going to be a loop like some manufacturers have. So the first thing we're going to do here is kind of orient ourselves. When I talk about this toggle here, this sewn portion of the toggle, we're going to call this the top portion, and this smooth side with the tab we're going to call the bottom portion. So that'll come in handy later. So the first thing you want to do, demo canopies are kind of a personalized item as far as your brake settings, because the manufacturer recommends 15 inches. Doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be jumping 15 inches. So we're going to measure from the center of this loop here of our cat eye. Again, manufacturer recommendations is 15 inches. So from the center of that cat eye, we're going to have 15 inches, and I've already got a mark preset here at 15 inches. So you'll just take a Sharpie and just make a mark on your line at 15 inches. And after a few jumps, you'll know whether you want to shorten them or lengthen them. All right, so let's get started here. So we're going to pick our toggle up with the top facing us. Okay, we are going to come from the back side of the toggle all the way to our mark that we made. All right, we want that mark to sit inside that grommet. Okay, so it's going to move around as we do this, so you're just going to kind of do it loose at first. From here, we came in from the back side. We are now going to go around the back underneath that line that goes to the canopy and back around to the front. Okay, from here, we're going to take this. Now, if this doesn't come nice and clean cut from the factory, you may want to burn it or hot knife this at an angle so you have a little bit of a point. That'll come in handy later because we're going to be putting a lot of stuff through this grommet. So we're going to feed this back through the grommet, this time coming in from the front side. And pulling it tight. Now you've noticed here our mark has moved out a little bit. That's okay. We're just going to pull on the side of the line that goes to the canopy, up to the canopy, and that line is now buried. You want that line buried in between that grommet. Okay, so what we should be left with here, once we tighten everything up, on the top of the toggle facing the jumper, it should look like this, and on the back side it should look something like this. The free running end coming out the bottom, and the line that goes to the canopy is going to be on top, and you're going to have this line cutting across the center. Okay, from here it's quite simple. We're going to move this loop down a little bit, and you're going to notice there's a little tiny hole there right here. Okay, we're going to come back over top, and you may need some tools for this, like a forceps or something to push this through. And this is where cutting this at an angle and having a point on it really comes in handy. So we're going to feed that back through that hole, and we're going to get our forceps and get a hold of that little guy right there and just wiggle it through. Okay. Another thing about cleaning that up, if it's not hot knifed, it's just going to keep it from fraying on you. So I definitely recommend it. And not only does it help with this procedure, but it's just going to keep it cleaner and keep it from fraying. Again, our black line has moved, so we're just going to pull on the side that goes to the canopy to keep that line in between that grommet. So we're going to pull these nice and tight, and we're basically just going to do an overhand knot. Again, we're on top of the toggle again. This is the top side. We're just going to tie an overhand knot to set this thing in. And you want that knot to sit right on top of that grommet as tight as possible. Okay? So that's basically it. Now we have our toggle set. our brake setting is set, this is what the front side is going to look like. And then your back side will look like this. Notice how we wrapped that line over top of this other piece that goes across when we started. So that's our finishing point. Now, what to do with the excess? You really don't want to cut this excess too short, just in case, again, we talked about changing your brake settings. If you realize that you want to let your brakes out and you need a longer brake setting, we like to leave this intact. So what we're going to do is we call it a pigtail, but it's like a hangman's noose. So on top of the toggle, only on this sewn portion, do not wrap this toggle together. Okay, we don't want to go around the whole toggle, just this sewn portion. Okay, so we'll hold the toggle in our hand. I'll bring it down maybe 4 inches and pinch it with my thumb, and then we're going to bring it back up top. And if you've ever made a little noose for Halloween here, we're just going to wrap this around the toggle all the way down, and it's going to encase that line, keeping everything intact. All right. Now it's important we leave this loop here is going to come into play when we finish this this pigtail here. Wrap it all the way down. Now this may take you a couple of times to get the correct length. We've got a lot of loop here, but for all intents and purposes, we're going to go ahead and just wrap this up here. So what we're going to do is when you get to the end and you've got your free running end here, you're going to put it through the loop. Through the loop, just like that. And then we're going to pull on this free running end up top. Well, it's not really free running, but we're going to pull on this line up top, and it's going to capture that little free running end there. See, it just sticks out a little bit. Pull that not too tight, but tight enough where it's going to stay. Now we orient ourselves like we're looking at the toggle in flight. You've got this excess right here. What to do with that? We're just going to take this pigtail and slide it down to get rid of that excess. And most of the time with these demo canopies, most people are holding the toggles like this, or with their fist on top like this. So this isn't really going to be an issue if you just grab the toggle in your hand. So that's how you set a toggle, again, on Star Trek 1, 2, or 3, Star Trek 200, or a sharpshooter demo canopy. And yeah, check in with us next time. We're going to talk about these cross connectors for canopy relative work. Thank you much. Thanks for watching.